Hey, how you guys doing? Before we go to the second topic of the week, I'm going to be I'm going to be covering a live event coming up this Saturday for my show here on YouTube. And I'm really stoked because it's a military air museum, which I found hanging in a local store. I'm really excited about. This is the Maxine Flerney Museum. I believe the organization is the Third Coast Squadron. I don't know a whole lot about it, but I'm guessing they're going to have some military aircraft from World War II. I love the bombers, by the way. So they're going to have several things going on. Open house. They're going to have some Navy veteran bands and veterans there. So also hoping to talk, maybe get an interview with the people that run it, so I get some more idea what this organization is and some of the history behind it, obviously. So really looking forward to that, as I'm a retired military veteran myself. Now I'm going to go into Huawei. Of course, we do have a thing going on with some tariffs in China. I'm not going to talk about that necessarily directly, but how it's going to affect Huawei, which is really an up and coming cell phone manufacturer. They're very popular, provide good quality phones for a good price, and I think they're like second overall. With Samsung being the number one, I haven't necessarily checked on that yet. Um, I don't know. I think this is going to be more short term tariffs, but we'll see. It may last a couple of months. I'm not expecting to go long term, but we're going to act like this is going to be a long term thing with Huawei. And obviously, with tariffs, that means that the American can't have any kind of American products to use in their products and other things. So we're going to talk about that long term and how is it going to affect them and how can they work around it. Now, it's going to affect them in several ways. Obviously, hardware. They can't buy any more American parts as far as modems or other Bluetooth or things like that. I think they do have a couple of months back stock for right now, so they would obviously maybe need to switch to more foreign outside the USA. Android's going to be a big thing because the phones won't be able to use any Android updates. No Google services such as Maps and Google Play Store to gain access to third party applications. So, what can they do to long term to help them survive? And now, while Android's not going to provide any more updates, I think they're allowed up to 30 days for updates, security updates or something, and then it's going to stop. Now, keep in mind, Android is open source, so they could technically still use the same version of Android. Of course, consumers may not be happy, especially with no security updates and so forth, but they could actually fork Android and then provide their own updates. Now, Google, and even in the past mentioned, they don't necessarily like forking Android, and I could see why. Then that gets away from their security and able to make money and some other things. Or Huawei can create their own OS and do it that way. And I think this is somewhat Samsung has done as well with maybe Tyson. I'm trying to go way, way back. Um, Now, some other problems they're going to have is having access to apps, or especially third-party apps. They can pre-install some of their own apps on their phones, but as far as putting additional apps and third-party apps, they're going to have to open their own app store, and so they got to think of that as well. And this kind of really goes back to manufacturers depending. It kind of gets them stuck because there's only really two choices when it comes to operating systems on phones, and that's iOS with the iPhone and Apple's solution, or Android pretty much on all the rest of the phones. So it kind of goes into manufacturers depending on one company too much, and where they can shuffle around as far as hardware manufacturers to get their parts, like Samsung or provide a lot of hardware, so that might be a solution. It's kind of hard to get around the Android thing unless they make their own version of OS. Now, I'm not 100% sure. I think Huawei also provides some kind of laptops, maybe. I meant to actually check this out before I made this video. Of course, they're more known for their cell phones, but if they do have any laptops out there, then obviously they may not put Windows on them. Of course, Windows is the most popular operating system out there. So they may have to look into other avenues such as Linux, and that is open source, and they maybe even fork their own OS if they have laptops, for instance. So there is definitely going to be some problems with Huawei and perhaps any other manufacturer with these tariffs. So I thought it was interesting to give my view on the situation as far as workarounds and what Huawei is going to have to do. So as always, thanks for watching, and see you guys later.